Hi, today I want to explain how to read and write the rhythmic part of a music sheet. When you see a music sheet, there are two dimensions that are the most important for you to recognize a tune when you're hearing it. One is the pitch, so it refers of what note we are playing, and the other one is the rhythm, which refers of when you are playing a note. We are going to concentrate in this case in the rhythmical part. To do that, we're going to go and think of the most simple rhythm that could be something like it's something like a pulse, and that can be represented with these symbols that we see now, which are the quarter notes. The quarter notes or crotchets. So if we need to read this is gonna sound ta, 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 ta. We're going to take this as a unit to start discovering other combinations that we can make. For example, we can take one quarter note and split it in two, and they will become 2/8 notes. One quarter note has become 2/8 notes or quavers. So this is going to sound ta, 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 ta. So we can take any of these quarter notes and split it, for example, here, and this is going to sound ta, 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 ta. We can take one of the quarter notes or crotchets, and instead of dividing into two, we divide it into 4 notes, and that crotchet or quarter note will become 4/16 notes. And this is we need to fit 4 hits in the space of 1 quarter note. So this is going to sound like this: ta, 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 ta. I can also take 2 quarter notes and link them together like this and create what is called a tie. In that case, I'm going to hit here, but I'm not going to hit here, but I'm going to respect the time it lasts. For example, if I didn't have that tie, this would sound ta, 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 ta. But because I've got the tie there, I'm going to play in this way: ta, ta, ta. So I'm not hitting here. Now, the people that created the music language thought that this would be very uncomfortable to do it all the time when I need to do, like in this case, a note that instead of lasting 1 quarter note, it lasts 2. So what they did is just create a new symbol that substitutes this model here, and they created what we call the half notes or minimums. So this is going to read exactly as we did before. It's going to sound ta, 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 ta. I could go ahead and link these 2 quarter notes together and then link this one to this one. So I link 3 quarter notes together, and this is going to sound like this: ta, ta. And I'll repeat it as a loop: ta, 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 ta. But this is also very uncomfortable to write all the time, so if I'm going to use it very often, I prefer to create another symbol that does that, and that is going to be a dotted half note. You see, the dots represent adding half more to that. So if I have here the value of 2 quarter notes, I need to add 1 more quarter note. That's why this equals to 3 quarter notes in terms of duration. So this is going to sound exactly the same as the 3 quarter notes tied together. Ta, 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 ta. Going back to the 4 quarter notes, I could link them all together into one through the ties, and this is what we have, and this is going to sound ta, ta. Once again, this is it's annoying to be writing it down every time you want something to last 4 beats. So the music people has created something, and we call it the whole note or semi-brief. So this is going to sound exactly the same as before. Ta, ta. We come back to this cell, and now what happens if instead of making this sound ta, 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 I want this to sound something like ta, 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 ta. What I'm doing is displacing this note a bit to the right. I'm moving this a bit to the right. To do that, I'm going to extend the duration of this one by adding a dot here, and this is going to now last half of it. So this is going to be an 8th note with a dot, and this becomes, from an 8th note becomes a 16th note, and this is going to sound, as we said before, ta, 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 ta. So the sound is much snappier than before. Ta, 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 compared with the other sound that was ta, 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 ta. Let's take this model again that we saw before. Ta, 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 ta. And now we're going to take this one, and we're going to make it become an 8th note. By doing this, we have a combination of 3 different figures here: the quarter note, the 8th note, and 2 16th notes here. This is going to sound ta, 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 ta. We can do something different, and instead of tying these 2 notes, we can go and do the same with these 2. So this is going to become then an 8th note, and this is going to sound ta, 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 ta. We can take this model again and perhaps tie these 2 notes here, and then we make this become what it actually is, an 8th note. So we're just going to link them together, and this is what we have now, and this is going to sound ta, 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 ta. Now let's go back to this cell that we saw before, and let's play it again. Ta, 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 ta. What happens if I want to tie this note with this note and see how it's gonna sound? Let's go and experiment. So this is gonna sound ta, 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 ta. If I want to do this all the time, perhaps it's gonna be better, because if you look at that, this is this note, this 8th note is half of this quarter note. So if it's half, we can just simply take this note and write a dot there, and we have the same. This is a 1/8 note when it's alone, with just the arm just drops in this way, and this is gonna sound the same. Ta, 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 ta. Now we're going to create loops based on ties. With the ties you can create syncopations, which are very well used in popular music. We're going to go, for example, and play this. This is gonna sound ta 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 ta. It's a rhythm quite simple, sounds like a nursery rhyme. So if we want to make it more interesting, we could try and tie these two notes together. So if the original was ta 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 ta, let's see how this sounds with this tie here, and we're going to play as a loop. Ta 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 ta. Let's take, for example, this cell. This cell, I'm going to play it again. It's ta 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 ta. I can experiment and try to tie these two together. This is going to sound like this: ta 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 ta. Let's experiment with more combinations. For example, this one will sound ta 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 ta. What happens if I tie these two together? This is going to sound ta 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 ta. Now we're going to learn about rests. To each figure there is an equivalent rest, which means that instead of playing the note, you actually fill the space with a rest. For example, this, if you play this, it's gonna sound as we know, ta 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 ta. Now what happens if I go ahead and replace this by the equivalent rest? And this is how this is going to sound: ta 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 ta. Let's take this cell again. This is gonna sound ta 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 ta. We can make this one, for example, become a rest, and the equivalent to eighth note rest is going to look like this. So if I take any other eighth note and replace it with a rest, this is gonna be what it's gonna look like. But I'm not interested in that at the moment. I'm interested in this cell and see how it sounds. Pa 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 pa. Pa 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 pa. Let's take another one like this one and replace it with a rest. This is going to sound pa 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 pa. And we can take this one, this is a quarter note, and replace it with a quarter note rest. So this is going to sound pa 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 pa